Welcome, I'm Jamie. I lead developer relations at OpenHands, and today is our community meeting for October 30th, so it's a little bit more fun as we have Halloween tomorrow for those who celebrate. I just want to bring everyone's attention that we did have a GitHub organization rename. This did occur at the beginning last week, so everyone should be good. But I think it's always good to remind people, this will be the last time that I remind people that we did have a GitHub org rename. We are no longer All Hands AI, but now OpenHands. So then I would like to welcome our new contributors. I would like to welcome Papadopoulos for making their first contribution. We have rstar327, Shazars, Mogith PN, Soft Pudding, akin.com. So these are 6 out of 12 first-time contributors. Welcome so much. And that leads me to our next page, which we have Wolfspire, CL Future X, JP Shackelford, which is also a part of our team, Alex42006, Ludwig N, and Evelyn Colin. So I just want to thank these people for contributing, and we hope to see you around. Hope this is the first of many. Which leads me to coming soon from DevRel. So we had our first community office hour, which was the hour before this call. It was to get feedback, and I have to say it was very valuable for those of us who joined, and I will be sharing our learnings from that call with the greater community. I anticipate that we will continue to have these open office hour type calls in the future. It might not be just about feedback. It could also be about contributing, how to get started in contributing. It can also be about upcoming projects or community projects. Something that I want to start is to have community projects where the community focuses on contributing and getting things out. And just a way to continue to build upon OpenHands. So that is coming soon from DevRel. Moving on, we have our project updates. So we had our 0.60.0 release today or yesterday. And we have officially removed the V0 CLI, and it is now unsupported. So please start moving on to our V1 CLI. We've also added support for Clarify Provider and added automatic sandbox lifecycle management. Something that's also changed is we've simplified the security analyzer confirmation interface. Feel free to read more of those later, and I can also share this presentation at the end of the call. There were also many fixes. So implemented graceful shutdown for headless mode, improved VS Code integration in sandbox environment, fixed an issue where Git operations would sometimes fail after resuming a conversation, fixed an issue where the config tunnel was not respected by this entry point, fixed terminal not rendering input commands, and then there were also multiple UI issues that were also fixed. So those are the things that are in our latest release, which also brings me to our CLI updates. So since our last meeting, we've had 2 CLI updates for 1.0.2 and 1.0.3. What's changed is we've simplified option to reject agent actions in confirmation mode, as well as fixed broken CLI entry point when using package manager, fixed LLM arguments to remove deprecation warnings, and also fixed the OpenHands SDK dependency for the MCP tool validation error. Excellent. Before we move on, I'm just going to check in with the OpenHands team. Is there anything else that you would like to add to our most recent release notes? Sounds good. And then if any of you in the call have questions as we keep moving forward, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will be sure to get those answered. All right, this leads us to our OpenHands V1 update. I'm going to kick it off to Robert to provide this update.
Yeah, we're in the home stretch of the app. So CLI is done. SDK is on its way out towards an official launch. And then the web app, we're still putting the final touches on, but pretty much wrapping that up. And we should be able to rip out a whole bunch of V0 code over the next probably like month or so. We'll start to pull out code as it the like older conversations from the V0 stuff that we need to stay backward compatible with go stale and are no longer really helpful. Yeah, happy to answer any questions.
All right. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Happy to answer them. Since Robert is here, I also wanted to just put in, we had a recent blog post. Would you like to just give a high level and some tidbits on this blog post, Robert, for remediating CVEs at scale with agent?
Yeah, so some of you may have had the pleasure of having to fix vulnerabilities in your open source dependencies. This is often something that comes up at big enterprises where you're running an old version of some library in npm or an old version of Ubuntu. Some security vulnerability has been announced, and it looks like it's in your environment somewhere. And then you have to go and figure out, okay, where's this dependency coming from? How do I update it? Does that latest updated version actually work with all my code? It's kind of like a very rote process to like solve these CVEs. So it's something that agents are actually very good at. So you can just say like at OpenHands resolve CVE number 1, 2, 3, 4 in this code base. It'll go off. It'll figure out, okay, do I modify the Docker file or the package JSON, or like where do I update the thing? Verify that the CVE was patched, etc. But even like sending off an agent for each one of these can feel kind of rote, even though it's much faster than the old way of doing it all by hand. And so I talked a bit in this article about how you can get many agents working in parallel, each on a different CVE, and then kind of pull the results together and patch up all your CVEs at a much higher like rate of throughput than you would get just by doing like one-off sessions with OpenHands or Cloud Code or something, and certainly than you would get trying to do all this stuff by hand.
Thank you. And I went ahead and dropped the link for that blog post in the chat. Feel free to check it out. And on to project updates. Our product updates. Joe, anything that you would like to share here?
Well, since our last community meeting, we are still in the integration of V1 into OpenHands Cloud. So that work still continues. We do have kind of an exciting set of enhancements that we are working on right now that we expect to kind of ship over the next few months. So what we'll do in an upcoming community meeting is give you a little bit of a preview of some of our roadmap there, and yeah, excited to share with you what all the stuff that we're going to be working on post V1. The one thing I did want to highlight though is there's a bug fix that Jamie mentioned in the previous release notes around Git provider tokens not refreshing. This may have translated into an experience in OpenHands Cloud where an old conversation would load, but it wouldn't have knowledge of your previous Git token. That's now been fixed. So that allows you to have a much better experience kind of resuming older conversations in OpenHands Cloud. So I want to make sure we highlight that. I think that's going to be an important bug fix for folks who may have had some trouble resuming older conversations. So that has been released as of this morning.
Excellent. And then speaking of, as we switch over to the SDK and our cloud version, so will we be able to resume previous conversations that were started before integration of the SDK?
Yes. So, in general, I think you should just look at if you have a previous conversation in OpenHands Cloud, you should be able to resume it, and with the fresh, GitHub token, and with the runtime resuming. I think there is a retention period for older conversations of about 14 days. We are, in general, re-looking at some of those retention periods so that we can give different customer types choice, so that some of our more commercial clients can also have more customization there. But those are some of the, right now it is a 14-day kind of retention period. And if you have a conversation that exists, you should be able to resume it and get a fresh Git token. Of course, if you don't see that, reach out to us and we're happy to take a look.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Joe. Does anyone else have any questions, either in the chat or wanted to unmute? Okay, I think we can move on to the next, and that is our community event. So we're starting to get a lot more. Our next community call will be Thursday, November 13th. It will be at 12 p.m. Eastern, 17 UTC. This is changing a little bit due to daylight savings. And then we also have our AI Native DevCon coming up. Robert and Ray will be presenting. We also have a discount code, which I will add to this presentation later. But if you would like, it is either Ray M25 or OpenHands 25. Those are our two different coupon codes. You can pick whichever. They both give you 25% off. But yeah, if you guys see us around, please flag us down. We're always happy to meet IRL, which also leads me to, we have a side event, Coding with AI. It's going to be in the evening on November 19th at Alumni Ventures, which is in Midtown Manhattan. And it is hosted by us, as well as Alumni Ventures. We're going to do a little panel with Robert and one of the partners leading the panel discussion. We're going to be inviting some other people, so it should be some good conversation, also some drinks and food, and we will also have some live demos. So excited to see you there. And then Robert will also be in attendance for AI Engineer Code Summit, which is throughout the rest of that week. So it'll actually be the 20th through the 22nd. But on the 22nd, Robert will be leading a workshop, which is very exciting. If we have a recording, which I think we may, I will be sure to share that with the greater community when that is completed. Same with our AI Native DevCon, the two presentations. If we have recordings, I will be sure to share them with the community later. And then at the end of the month, we will also have another community call. Stay tuned, because as of now, this lines up with the American Thanksgiving holiday, which is not great. So this one will be adjusted a little bit. Stay tuned for that. And then looking forward to December, we have Generation AI Conference, which is in Paris, France. And Robert and I will be in attendance for that. And probably also Simon will be joining us for a bit. We may have a side event there, so stay tuned for fellow Parisians. And then also QCon AI in New York City, December 16 and 17. Stay tuned for another side event in New York City. So if you miss our November side event in New York, don't worry, you'll get a second chance in December. And that is what is coming up for our community events. All right, I think we're good. Thank you so much for joining this call. Thank you for joining asynchronously for those that watch the recording. Feel free to join us on the Slack. That's where you can get our attention the quickest. And if you haven't already, obviously, try Cloud. Why not? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good one.